All right, what is going on, guys? UFC 310 has officially ended. Great card, and I'm going to be going over my full card post-fight opinions. Recap. Starting off with Kennedy and Nzechukwu versus Lucas Brzeski. I had to go back and rewatch. I missed the first few fights. I did not rewatch Chiesa and Max Griffin. I didn't give a shit about that fight. Sorry if you're Chiesa and Max Griffin fans. These other fight partially is because it was a longer fight, ended in the third round, where these two fights ended in the first. So Kennedy gets the first round KO towards the end of the round. Honestly, kind of what this tells me, he didn't really look that great in this fight. He kind of looked like he was, in his mind, he thought he was a badass and that he was way better than this guy. And obviously he ended up KOing him. But the heavyweight division is not that deep. And if I remember correctly, I think Joe Rogan was talking about that while on commentary tonight during this fight. Talking about how the heavyweight division is one of the shallowest divisions out there. So you know what? I could definitely see Kennedy going to the top 15 in the heavyweight division. I mean, again, heavyweight's not that deep. Man, throw him somebody and then the top 15 in his next fight. See if he can get in the top 15 in the heavyweight division. Really not much to say. I mean, got him out there in the first round. I think it was with right hand dropped him, if I remember correctly. Other than that, he kind of looks... He's a little awkward on the feet. Like, just the way he moves out of the way of the punches sometimes. The way he reacts to things is just a little weird. So, it was an alright fight. Moving up. This fight, I hate when you have old veterans and you put them with young up-and-coming contenders. Now, there's a difference between, like, old veterans and old veterans. Clay Guida versus Chase Hooper. Complete mismatch. Like, Guida doing his normal, bouncing around, trying to rush in and throw punches. Maybe he shot for one takedown during this fight. Hooper landing good on the feet. Consistently going for the takedowns. Eventually, was it Guida that shot in on a takedown? I can't remember if Guida shot in on a takedown or if Chase went in for the takedown and Guida was exiting the takedown, or defending the takedown by exiting, and Chase locked up. Was it guillotine? Why did I forget what he got? Oh, that's gonna bug the shit out of me. Because it wasn't a Darce. Because that was he didn't get a Darce choke, but he got an Anaconda choke. That was Luque. Why do I forget what Chase Hooper got? I'm pretty sure it was a guillotine. I have to look this up. An armbar. That's what it was. For some reason, I thought it was a guillotine. I have no clue why. Did someone get a guillotine tonight? I don't think anyone got a guillotine. Several people went for guillotines, but I don't think anybody got one. It was an armbar. It's been a while since I watched this fight, and it's like almost 2 a.m. So, but yeah, this was like a non-competitive fight. Didn't need to be made. Then I saw a clip online of Chase Hooper in the post-fight press conference saying, he could fight Jim Miller. No. Do Clay Guida and Jim Miller. I think they fought before. Do a rematch if they're both going to still continue to fight, even though they're old men. So give Chase Hooper, like, legitimate, decent contender, and then if he beats that person, that'll be 6 fight winning streak if he beats one more person. Then give him somebody a shot at the top 15. I didn't watch Chiesa Griffin. I don't give a shit. This fight, Cody Durden, Joshua Van. This was a great fight. I was driving while this fight was going on, but I did have it loaded up. So I could hear it, and then whenever I'd get to like a stopping point while I was driving, I was waiting in line. I was watching it. So this was a great fight, amazing fight. Some moments in the first round, I was a little bit worried for Van because you had Durden going in on takedowns and getting some control time. Again, I don't think they put the control time on here. I wish they did. They do not put the control time. I don't know exactly how much control time he had in the first round, but Van was having some difficulties getting up out of those positions. Excuse me. So I'm like, uh-oh. I picked Van via decision. I think I did. I'm pretty sure I picked Van via decision. But I was kind of worried that Durden might be able to use his wrestling and keep Van down. And Van, even though he has good takedown defense, which proved good later on in the fight, I thought Durden might be able to out-grapple him to a decision. But, Durden, he won the first round, in my opinion. And then Joshua Van comes back hard in that second round. Hurts Durden badly several times. I mean, there were several moments where you were almost to a point where you could stop the fight, but he didn't exactly have enough to get the ref to step in. Similar, and it's pretty much the same thing in the third round. If I remember correctly, I think Durden's coaches might have told him he needed a finish, even though I think he won the first round. And I think I even scored him the first round. Let's pull it up. I think judges gave him the first round. Let me pull it up real quick. I love that the UFC, if you don't know, UFC has a Twitter account. It's called UFC News. And they usually post interviews and the scorecards for each fight. Durden Van scorecard. Yep. Oh. Okay. So one judge had the round 1 for Durden. The other 2 judges had all 3 rounds for Joshua Van. If I remember correctly, when I was scoring it live, I gave Durden the first round due to the control time. It was a close round, but I did edge him out in the first round on my personal scorecard. Great fight. Gets Joshua Van into the top 15. I cannot wait to see him next. They're talking about they need somebody for Pantoja, and throw him up. Get him somebody way up in the rankings. Get him one win high up in the rankings. Get him a title shot. I think Pantoja would probably beat him. Not as easy to Kai Asakura, but I think Pantoja would more than likely beat Joshua Van with the grappling. I think he would probably be able to take his back and submit him. But that would be a very good fight. Pantoja versus Van, that would be such a good fight. Moving up on the card, got this pick wrong. Chris Weidman versus Eric Anders. I missed some of this fight, so I didn't really get to see the whole fight, and I don't have time to go back and rewatch it. I think I only missed the first half of the first round. All I know is, was it a nut shot or an eye poke? I can't remember if it was an eye poke or a nut shot that happened to Chris Weidman. Then shortly after that, he hurts Anders badly, and I don't understand. I see this all the time. This happens. Someone will hurt someone badly and then clinch up with them or hurt them and take them. He hurt him. He tried to get him down, or he did get him down, but he tried to finish him with ground and pound. But after a couple of seconds, it's not working. Let him stand back up and finish the fight. Time and time again, guys will get hurt and then clinch or shoot for a takedown immediately. It makes no sense. Weidman potentially could have got a first round finish. Second round comes. Anders comes out looking sharper. Weidman looking like shit. Weidman needs to retire. I don't care. If he really wants to keep fighting, find some old fucks in the middleweight division. Let him fight some old guys. I can't even think of any old guys in the middleweight division off the top of my head. Eric Anders is about as old as you're going to get as far as old washed up middleweights. Because Anders is not that good. But, he got to finish in the second round. Good to him. Essentially, the whole second round, Anders is just beating the shit out of Chris Weidman. Almost the entire time. And every time the ref would say, Chris, I'm going to stop the fight. I think it was Mark Goddard. I could be wrong, though. Every time he would say, you need to move, you need to do something, you need to finish yourself, he would do just enough to let it keep going until finally, there was only 9 seconds left and they stopped the fight. So, honestly, he could have just let it go the 9 seconds. And then he could have got probably a cooler looking KO on the feet in round number 3. Anyway, kind of poopy fight. Moving up. We have Randy Brown versus Brian Battle. I've been seeing a lot of controversy about this fight online. Somewhat understandably. So this was kind of a controversial decision. It was a close fight. It was a very close and competitive fight. Brian Battle missed weight by 4 pounds, which is a lot. So, Randy Brown got a good portion of his purse. I think it's like 30% of Brian Battle's purse. Damn, I'm tired. It's almost 2 in the morning. Excuse me. So, first round, Battle's looking slow. He doesn't really have his rhythm down right. He just doesn't look very good in the first round. And I noticed that, and I'm thinking to myself, Brian is not looking very good in this first round. Was it the weight cut? What affecting him? And after I thought about it, and I'm thinking back to his other fights, he's kind of a slow starter, but he kind of looked extra slow starter, if you know what I mean, in that first round. So Randy definitely won that first round. Go to the second round, and it's like a switch flipped. He looked more locked in. He looked good to go. Clear second round for Brian Battle. And then the third round, really close, even round. Mike Bell scored the third round for Randy Brown. A lot of clinching, a lot of back and forth in the third round. I thought Battle got the better in the striking exchanges that they had in the third round. So I scored very closely. I scored that because I think I was talking to my wife. I'm like, I think Battle won, but I could see if the judges gave it to Brown because the third round was pretty close. Great fight. If Brian Battle wouldn't have missed weight and he got this win without missing weight, I would say give him a top 15 opponent. Now I think he needs one more win. Give him, and a win over Randy Brown should get you a top 15 opponent next. But when you miss weight like that, and he said in his post-fight, just a little hiccup, that's not going to happen again. Just had to get a couple things taken care of, and he won't do that in his next fight. I hope that's true. He needs to be professional. Even if he did get fined some, I don't care. He needs to make weight. So hopefully he makes weight in his next fight, gets one more win, and then give him a top 15 opponent. Moving up on the card. This was hard. I picked Movsar to win via decision. That's how he won. I really was rooting for Sterling to win. And if you are someone who's really into grappling, this was a very exciting fight for you. If not, you probably didn't like this fight. I got the scorecards pulled up on the screen or on my phone now. And surprisingly, I've been seeing a lot of controversy about this fight online. So the first round, the commentary team, they say, oh, Merab, like they were talking about how Merab had told Aljo to shoot first. Go for the takedown first. Don't let him shoot on you first. And shortly after they said that, Aljo shot for a takedown. Essentially in the first round, Aljamain Sterling won with his control time. He landed a decent, I would say on the feet when he did land, he landed the better shots on the feet than Movsar. But mainly won that first round with his control time. Just being able to control Movsar for the majority of the round. I think maybe towards the end of the first round, Movsar might have gotten back up and tried to implement some striking, but I don't think it wasn't enough to win him the round. Round 2 comes out, and it's kind of like a flip switched for Movsar, and he did to Aljo what Aljo did to him. Aljo's going for the grappling, gets reversed, and Movsar is able to control him. And I think at one point, if I remember correctly, he was in a crucifix position. There was, I think, a couple fights where people were in the crucifix position. I think it was towards the end of the second or first round. I think he had Aljo in the crucifix position. So I'm thinking, okay, I've got it 1-1 going into the third round. Let's go. Come on, Aljo. I really wanted him to win. He gets shit for no reason. I really enjoy watching him fight. His striking's ass. He's got good kicks, though. But I like grappling, so I really enjoy watching him fight. Third round, he comes in strong, just like he did in the first round, going for the grappling immediately. He controls him. I don't have the exact time. I wish I did of how long he controlled him. I think it was the majority of the third round. Like, we'll just say 3 minutes. He controlled him for 3 minutes in the third round-ish. With 1:30 left, Movsar reverses position. The problem with Aljo's control time in the third round is he really didn't do much with it. When Movsar was able to reverse position in the third round, he was able to get off some damage. It looked better. I gave Movsar the third round. I saw people online complaining it was a robbery. I don't think it was a robbery. When you have 3 minutes of control time with no damage versus 2 minutes, I'm just using round figures just for argument's sake, versus 2 minutes of control time with damage. The 2 minutes of control time with damage takes priority. It gets you the victory in my book. It sucks because I feel like Aljo was done dirty with his fight with Sean O'Malley. They were rushing him to take that fight. Obviously, ultimately, it was up to him. But I don't think Aljo will ever fight for a title again in any division. And that sucks. Do I think he could be successful at 145? Yes. For sure, I think he could be successful at 145. I think he beats... I'd have to pull the rankings up. But I think there's quite a few people in that top 10 that Aljo beats. Unfortunately, it didn't go his way tonight. So hopefully he can get back out there. And for Movsar, might be looking for one more fight and then a title shot just because they're probably going to give Volk the rematch. So anyway, moving up the card. This was great for Vicente Luque. We have Vicente Luque versus Themba Gorimbo. Look, most people were picking Gorimbo. I mean, I don't know. I kind of want to pull up the Tapology and see the ratio. I think almost everybody was picking Themba Gorimbo just because Vicente Luque has looked like absolute shit in his last few fights. I mean, his comeback fight just wrestled, out-grappled RDA. Then that was the Buckley fight after that, if I remember correctly. Just looks like he took a dive versus Buckley. Like he didn't want to be there. He did not want any of that smoke. Comes out in this fight. Gorimbo goes at him straight on. Luque clips him with the right hand, drops him badly, then locks up the Anaconda choke and puts him out cold. Look, I didn't really value Gorimbo's skills that much before this fight. I knew he had some good wrestling, and he has good power. Don't get me wrong, he does have good power. But it showed levels to this game in Vicente Luque. He's not done. I don't think, though, he's ever going to get... I don't think he's going to get to a title shot. I like Luque as a fighter, but I don't know if he'll be able to make his way back up much past the top 10 again. But he looked great in this fight, and I saw someone post something on Twitter. It was him and the Nick Diaz fight, and it's like, damn, how this would have went. It's like he would absolutely destroy Nick Diaz. So I hope he gets a step up in competition in his next fight. Moving up the card, we have Dominic Reyes versus Anthony Smith. Essential domination from Dominic Reyes. The first round, Anthony Smith looks angry, and I understand, his coach and longtime friend had died recently. He looked like he just didn't give a shit what happened, and there were several moments in this fight where he's just letting Reyes hit him in the face with his hands down and sticking his tongue out and egging him on. The first round, to me, it really looked like Smith was trying to go out there and just, swang and bang. He was trying to go out there and take Dominic Reyes' head off. And he actually looked pretty, in my opinion, I thought he looked outside of him was doing the reckless, stupid shit when he was actually trying to fight. I felt like he was actually trying to fight. Where in his last few fights, it doesn't really seem like he's actually trying to fight. So I thought he actually looked okay in the first round. Clear round for Dominic Reyes. He landed the better power shots. And then especially towards the end of that first round, he was really laying it on Anthony Smith. I think at one point, Anthony Smith shot for a couple takedowns in the first round. Second round, they come out. I can't remember what exactly we hurt him with, but Smith's going for takedowns. Oh, that's what I remember now how it was. Smith goes for a takedown, gets the single leg. And this is another thing. I never have understood that fighters do this. I think Paul Craig did it against Johnny Walker. You're going for a single leg or a takedown in general, and you're getting smashed in the head with elbows and punches, and you continue to hold onto the single leg. Why? All Anthony Smith had to do was, as soon as Reyes started hitting him with elbows, I think it was elbows, excuse me, just let go of the leg and back away. He didn't do that. Essentially, the whole second round was just Reyes beating the shit out of Anthony Smith, and Anthony Smith taking it. The ref saying, you have to move, you have to move. He would move a little bit. And then towards the end of the second round, I mean, it wasn't even super heavy shots that they stopped the fight on. There were other shots before that. I feel like they could have stopped it earlier, but they didn't. So Anthony Smith says this is probably his last fight. I think it needs to be. I don't think we need to see Anthony Smith fight anymore. I don't really think he's not going to make a title run like he said in his fight versus Vitor Petrino. He just doesn't need to fight anymore. It's all over for Anthony Smith. I feel bad for him for what he's going through. My heart goes out to him in that respect. But as far as fighting goes, I think he needs to hang it up and be done. Moving up, opening up the pay-per-view. Nate Landwehr versus Doo Ho Choi. Absolute upset. Everybody was picking Nate Landwehr to win. I can't remember if he was a heavy favorite or not. Does it have betting odds on here? It does. He was a minor favorite. A little bit. Scorecards, 10-8s or 10-9s. I was seeing if any of the judges scored it at 10-8 for Doo Ho Choi. Nate Landwehr was just getting battered the entire fight. I mean, he really was getting boxed up on the feet. Within like the first 30, 45 seconds, he was hurt badly in the first round on the feet by Doo Ho Choi. I mean, he really had nothing to offer. And it's just, you got outstruck and outgrappled for the first 2 rounds. I mean, he just had nothing to offer. He knows he needs a finish in that 3rd round. And he comes out swinging like he's trying to go for the knockout. And Doo Ho Choi doesn't want that smoke. He don't want anything to do with that, and I don't blame him. Took him down fairly easy. Gets him in the crucifix position. This was the fight that I remember. This was the fight that got the crucifix position. I think Aljo did get crucifixed, though, at one point. Gets him in the crucifix position. And is just smashing him and smashing him. Nate's trying to get out. He can't. He's trying to muscle up. He's trying to buck. He's trying to do anything he can, roll out, and get his arms out. At one point, he was pretty close to getting one of his arms free from between Doo Ho Choi's legs. Could never get his arms out. And the ref steps in. Again, I think similar to the Reyes fight, there was probably a better moment to stop it where some harder elbows were landing than when they actually did end up stopping it. But 100% justified. Nate Landwehr had nothing to offer, and Doo Ho Choi looked pretty good. Calls out Bryce Mitchell, and because Bryce Mitchell won his fight, I don't mind that at all. I understand. Let's just move on to that. Absolute shit stain of a fight. This is an absolute disgrace. Should not have been on the pay-per-view at all. How the hell? These numbers are absolute bullshit. 90 strikes. Okay. This shouldn't have been on the pay-per-view. Mobstar and Aljo was a more exciting fight. You could have put Reyes and Smith on the pay-per-view. It was essentially a one-sided beatdown. That was exciting. Dude, a Luke Themagarimbo fight would have been great on the pay-per-view. I mean, the Dirt and Van fight would have been amazing on the pay-per-view. Why Bryce Mitchell and Crone Gracie? If it was Bryce Mitchell and either one of these two guys, leave it on the pay-per-view. Crone Gracie, and listen, I train jiu-jitsu. I love jiu-jitsu. It's fun. I enjoy watching it. This is MMA. This is not jiu-jitsu. Crone Gracie, every single round, and the first 2 essentially went this way. He would look like complete shit, throwing strikes, charging forward to clinch up with Bryce so that he could pull guard. Pull guard multiple times. Every time he had a chance to pull guard, he would. I think the first round he pulled guard, did nothing. Didn't attempt to triangle, an arm bar, nothing. If you're going to be like a super elite jiu-jitsu guy off your back and you want to pull guard in an MMA fight, you have to throw something. You have to try to do something. Wasn't throwing elbows off his back. I don't know where they got these 90 strikes from. I have no clue. I'm not rewatching that shit staying in a fight. The only thing exciting about this fight was the finish. That was the only thing exciting about it. Third round, Bryce is up clearly. Because, I think the second round, Crone was close with an armbar, and Bryce kind of confirmed that. He's like, in his post-fight interview, I'm not going to tap. I needed the money too much. I thought he was going to break my arm, but I wasn't going to tap anyway. So he was close with the armbar. And I kind of thought it would be funny if he would have, not that I want his arm to get broken, but if Crone would have won, just having such a specialist ranked in the top 15 of the featherweight division, I thought would be funny. But it's better that Bryce Mitchell won. And Crone Gracie, he needs to quit. He needs to retire. He doesn't need to fight in MMA anymore. He doesn't even try and strike. He just charges at you, pulls guard, and tries to get a sub. And it's just, this shit ain't gonna work in the UFC. He could probably do this in some other organizations, but it's just not gonna work in the UFC. Maybe they throw him a shitty opponent, it would work. But he needs to quit MMA. He needs to do those UFC Fight Pass Invitationals. The UFC's trying to build up a jiu-jitsu with Mikey Musumeci. They're trying to build up more fan interaction in jiu-jitsu. I think it would be cool if how they do like one championship, how they have jiu-jitsu. Maybe don't mix it in with the cards like they do. But I think it would be really cool if they start trying to grow that. Let him be a part of that, okay? He be a trailblazer over there. He doesn't need to fight in MMA anymore, especially not on pay-per-view main cards. So moving up, this shit stain of a fight right here. This shit pisses me off. We have Cyril Gane versus Alexander Volkov. What an absolute robbery. And I'm pretty sure everyone online is in complete agreement on what a robbery this is. You steal multiple things from Volkov. So you've stolen his win streak. I believe he would have been on a 5-fight win streak if he would have won this fight, which he should have. He did. He won this fight. See, I can't really use this striking because this said he landed 90 significant strikes. Or 90 total strikes. I have no clue where they got those strikes from. Volkov did outland Cyril Gane. He was landing the better of the shots. Not that Gane didn't land anything good, but Volkov was landing the better shots on the feet. He was landing the better kicks on the feet. And he was doing better in the grappling. You could tell he wanted to go out there and grapple, and he did good. He looked... The reason I picked Cyril Gane is I thought he had the speed advantage, which he did. He did have the speed advantage. I thought he would be able to dance around the octagon and pepper the leg, which he did a lot. He did do a lot of leg kicks at Volkov, but I thought he'd be able to pepper the leg, jab, dance around a little bit, just kind of pop shot to a victory, which is why I was going to pick him. But Volkov looked really good in this fight. But anyway, getting back to my main point. You take his win bonus and you take his win streak. Right now, that Volkov should be fighting the winner of Jones Aspinall. You robbed that from him. And I saw Dana White talk to Volkov after the fight, and he looked pissed. Understandably. So hopefully Dana White made it right. He gave him his win bonus, or at least a bonus of some type. Maybe gave him $50K or something. He needs paid for that. That was absolute horseshit. Brutal robbery. Let's look at the judges' scorecards. I gotta pull them up on my phone. I guess I'll talk about them. So, Adeline Bird, I don't think I've ever heard of that judge before. I could be wrong. Gave rounds 1 and 2 to Cyril Gane. Eric Colin gave rounds 1 to Sirogan and rounds 2 and 3 to Volkov. And then, I can't even pronounce this person's name, Jumichiro Kamijo gave rounds 1 and 2 to Sirogan and only round 3 to Volkov. Trying to remember the first round. I think I did score the first round for Gone Live. I know it was close, but I'm pretty sure I remember it in my mind thinking Gone landed the better of the shots in that round. Very close and competitive round, and I thought, well, if it was that competitive in the first round, moving to the second, Volkov might be pick up some momentum and make some adjustments. And in the second and third round, I thought it was pretty clear. He outstruck him. He outgrappled him. Especially in the, like, there's no way, okay, they all have the third round for Volkov. There's no way you could score the third round for anybody but Volkov. Second round, I don't really think it's debatable. Like, he outgrappled him. He outstruck him in the second round. Something's got to be done. They have to fix the judging. They can't keep ruining people's careers with no repercussions. So that's all I'm going to say about that. I might make a dedicated video on that. Moving up, co-main event, great fight. We have Shavkat Rakhmonov versus Ian Machado Gary. Great fight. I got the scorecards right here. I think I agree. Yep, all the judges and me agree on the scorecards. So the judges all unanimously have rounds 1, 2, and 4 for Shavkat Rakhmonov. First 2 rounds, Shavkat, they didn't do a whole lot of striking exchanges on the feet. First 2 rounds, Shavkat did land the better of the strikes on the feet and then was able to out-grapple Ian Gary. Excuse me. And then in the third round, Gary is able to negate the grappling, landing a lot of good leg kicks. Throughout the whole fight, Gary was landing a lot of good leg kicks on Shavkat. And I thought, man, he lands a few more of those leg kicks, he's going to seriously compromise Shavkat and his ability to, do any of those spinning techniques he likes to do. It wasn't his leg he's shooting off of, so it shouldn't have affected his ability to just shoot for takedowns all that much. So Gary won the third round, landed, was able to keep it on the feet, landed very good shots against Shavkat. Fourth round, Shavkat comes back, bounces back. Fourth round was close. I will say that live when I was scoring that. I specifically remember saying to my wife, I don't know who the judges are going to give that round to. Fourth round was very close and competitive. A lot of back and forth in the grappling and striking. But I scored it for Shavkat. Let's see what they're saying. Yeah, they're saying Gary outstruck Shavkat that round. But Shavkat did get the takedowns that round and the control time. So Shavkat wins the fourth round. Go to the fifth round. Gary almost finishes him with a rear naked choke a couple of times. There were a couple of times there. I think it was mostly on the chin, not under the chin. There were a couple of times where I'm like, oh my goodness, is he going to tap? Is he going to go to sleep? Like, I thought it was close. I thought Gary might get the finish there in the fifth round. But he knew he needed to finish. His corner knew he needed to finish. His corner was actually telling him to go for a knockout, try to set up a knockout. Which, I mean, if there's a few more rounds on this fight, I think Gary would be able to keep going. I definitely think Gary had the cardio advantage. Even though he was losing the fight, I think Gary had the cardio advantage. So great fight. Shavkat's going to be fighting Bilal. Even though the UFC security doesn't know who Bilal is, we know who Bilal is as fans. So we'll do Shavkat versus Bilal next. After seeing this fight, I am 100% confident that Bilal will beat Shavkat. I think he has a cardio advantage. He has a wrestling advantage. I might give Shavkat the jiu-jitsu advantage and the power advantage, but Shavkat looked like, and I don't know if it was because Gary is good on the feet. He's very good on the feet, but Shavkat looked like he was almost afraid to engage on the feet. And I don't know if that was just Gary's was hard to read and hard to find a shot he wanted to try to throw or what. But Shavkat did not look very good. He looked very hesitant on the feet in this fight. But he got the win nonetheless. He'll be fighting Bilal Muhammad next. Very excited for that fight. I can't wait to watch that. Moving up, main event. I picked this main event perfectly. Alexander Pantoja versus Kai Asakura. Like, first round, 10, 15 seconds, Pantoja just goes straight for him. I think Kai goes for a flying knee, and Pantoja almost gets his back in the first round. Already in the first round, using his grappling, using his striking, Pantoja does not give a shit. Marching Kai Asakura down. He doesn't care. Reminds me of Davison Figueiredo, just marching forward at his opponents. Doesn't care what is getting thrown at him. He just keeps moving forward. And essentially the whole first round, just walking Kai Asakura down, hitting him, going for takedowns when he can. Second round comes out, starts doing the same thing. Walking him down, throwing shots, doesn't care what he's getting thrown at him. I can't remember because Kai Asakura did this several times. We went for like flying knees 3 or 4 times in this fight. And I can't remember if that initiated to what got him the back take or not. But I remember they were up against the fence and they were kind of in a stalemate for maybe 10, 15, 20 seconds where nobody wanted to move because they both knew as soon as one person did something, it was going to enable the other person to get the advantage in that position. Eventually they do move, and Pantoja is fast with taking the back. Like, he is so good at taking the back. Takes the back of Asakura, gets him down, and how he does it, it's so smooth in the transition. It's like as he's doing it, he's already setting the body triangle up. Like, he's not, okay, let me get my hooks in. Okay, now I'm going to get a body triangle. It's just throw it over as he's taking the back and locking the body triangle up. Beautiful transitions on the ground. Gets his choke locked up, has the hand behind the head. Asakura gets it out, and then instead of switching and going to the other side, just goes palm to palm, does my coach calls it the waiter choke. It's like you're serving him a tray. Goes palm to palm and puts him to sleep. Puts Asakura in the sleep. In the second round, I predicted the second round submission. I can't remember if I said rear naked choke or not. I probably did. But I know on my Tapology I had second round submission. So I don't know who in the flyweight division is going to beat Pantoja. He calls out Demetrius Johnson to come out of retirement and to come back to the UFC and fight him. Although I'd love to see that fight, I think DJ, he's out of his prime. The UFC is not going to take him back even for one more fight. They would not want to, because if, let's just say magically, they snap their fingers, the UFC brings him back for one fight, and he beats Pantoja, and then says, okay, I'm done. You're kind of leaving the UFC in a shitty situation there, where you just beat the champion, and they're like, okay, peace out, I retired. So they're definitely not going to happen. That's definitely not going to happen. But that would be a fun, interesting fight. Because there's nobody for Pantoja. He's beaten everybody. He's literally beaten everybody that is worthy of a title shot. So I'll do some digging on who do I think Pantoja will be fighting next in my fights to make video that I will be making tomorrow. So what did you guys think of UFC 310? I thought it was an amazing card. If you guys are not subscribed, make sure to subscribe to my channel. Drop a like. Leave a comment down below what you thought of the event. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.